rounds. Roy, did you have a sense as to who you thought won the fight?
You know, I thought Harold Letterman did a good job of judging the fight. I probably myself would have went with Harold's scorecards just because of Harold keeping up with it round by round. However, I do know the fight was close enough that it could have gone either way. But being under the circumstances that Danny Jacobs has come back from, being that Danny Jacobs has defeated cancer, Danny Jacobs has done things that we never expected him to do in life. Win, lose, or draw, Danny Jacobs is a winner tonight no matter what the judges say. So both fighters did a tremendous job. My hat goes off to Triple G. He's still climbing that pound-for-pound ladder, but Danny Jacobs is definitely not a loser here tonight by no means.
I don't think anybody would dispute that it was a close fight. At the end of the day, the scoring was close enough that every round, including the 12th, meant something. I almost never dispute Harold Letterman's scorecard. I think he's the best scorer in the sport. But he said all along that he thought Jacobs had won the first 2 rounds. I'd be surprised if official scorecards showed that the official judges thought Jacobs won both of the first 2 rounds. Not enough went on in either of those rounds for one man clearly necessarily to have won them both. You want to see a rematch?
I definitely want to see a rematch. I think that's the fight to make before you go to Canelo and him, because we don't know what's going to happen yet with Canelo and Chavez. That could turn out to be this type of fight, and if it does, then why not let this happen again, let that happen again, then let the winners emerge and fight one another. That's what's wrong with our sport of boxing. We don't get enough of doing this again when we should do it. We want to wait and go do other things for money purposes instead of putting the best man in the ring against the best man. Let's let the best fight the best, and if somebody proves to be the best, which Daniel has tonight, has been the best opposition for him, put Daniel back in there, let us see him do it again.
Gennady Golovkin's plan is to fight his next fight in June in Kazakhstan. I sincerely doubt that Daniel Jacobs is going to go to Kazakhstan. Golovkin wants to chase Billy Joe Saunders' existing middleweight belt prior to his fight with Canelo Alvarez in September, if it's going to take place at that time. So I got a hunch your rematch is going to take place after GGG versus Canelo, if in fact that particular fight is going to take place. Max Kellerman, your sense of everything that went on here tonight and where it leads?
Dominant knockout performers like Triple G and fighters who look like they're unbeatable. Generally that happens as a result of matchmaking. Generally it's because they're in with a certain level of opponent. Even Mayweather and Pacquiao in the previous era, when they looked totally unbeatable, they were in with good fighters. When they looked more vulnerable, particularly Pacquiao, he was either in with a once great fighter, Juan Manuel Marquez, or a good young peaking fighter, Tim Bradley, for example. And that's what Triple G was in with tonight. For the first time in his career, really. A really good peaking fighter. Triple G knew it coming in. Jacobs came in with an amateur pedigree, with size, with speed, with punching power, with boxing IQ, having overcome obstacles in his career. He was a peaking fighter tonight, and he made Triple G look beatable. And in fact, I thought the fight was up for grabs in the 12th round. You have to give Triple G credit for winning that round decisively, a championship moment for a champion, defeating the leading contender in the division as a result. But Triple G will be 35 soon. And once upon a time, that was ancient for a fighter. But at any rate, still, it's no spring chicken. And maybe also to make no excuses for him, as I just mentioned, he was in with a really good peaking fighter. But maybe age is catching up to him. Maybe he is more vulnerable, not only because of the opponent, but because of Father Time than he once was. It remains to be seen. We hope we'll find out in a fight with Canelo, should Canelo get by Chavez Jr. But as we saw tonight with both Chocolatito and Triple G, there's no guarantee Canelo does get by Chavez Jr. When you fight tough fights, and Chavez Jr. is a big, strong guy who's highly motivated, you might lose.
So was it a win or was it a blemish on Triple G's career? The fighter to whom Triple G has most recently been compared is Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson at his peak was the knockout sensation of boxing. Mike Tyson barely won a decision over James Quick Tillis on his way toward the top, went the distance with Tony Tucker, went the distance with James Bone Crusher Smith, went the distance with a variety of other fighters, and it didn't really rob the public image of him being the ultimate knockout sensation in boxing. Gennady Golovkin had 23 knockouts in a row, some of them against the best competition he could stir up within the middleweight division, and now he's gone the distance with Daniel Jacobs. And on the web this week, you're going to be reading that he slipped, that he's not what he was supposed to be, that he is no longer the same kind of knockout sensation that he was, that he's a myth, that he's going to lose the next time out against somebody. This is boxing. And as Gennady Golovkin said, it's a sport. Sometimes you win close, sometimes you win by some method other than knocking the guy out. It was inevitable that it was going to happen at some point. In my personal opinion, he needed to win the 12th round to win the fight, and he won the 12th round. So at the end of the day, in my view, it's another win. And he's now 36-0. And even though the knockout streak is no longer intact, maybe that helps him going forward in the future, because it seemed to become clear within the last few fights that to a certain degree, both he and his trainer, Abel Sanchez, had become victims and to a certain degree captives of the knockout streak. Now it's gone, and he can go back to relaxing and being the kind of fighter who just tries to win fights. May not stir up the same kind of public passion that he stirred up so far, but he's still the middleweight champion of the world. He's still looking to try to consolidate all the middleweight belts, and he's still looking for the biggest money fight in boxing, a matchup against Canelo Alvarez. None of that has changed. What's changed is we know he's vulnerable, and we know we probably want to see Daniel Jacobs against him at some point again. A tremendous night in Madison Square Garden. Dramatic fights all the way through this card. Ultimate drama in the closing rounds of this one as Gennady Golovkin's image and streak were put to the test. He escaped.